The marble staircase echoed with each calculated step. Asterisk asterisk. Arielle descended slowly, deliberately, her hand trailing along the cool banister. The emerald silk clung to every curve, catching light like liquid fire. She'd chosen this dress for a reason. Tonight, she would finally exist outside these gilded walls. The servants saw her first. Their movements stuttered. Teacups paused midair. The head maid's eyes went wide before she quickly looked away, busying herself with invisible dust on an already spotless surface. Then the guards noticed. 6 men in black suits straightened against the walls, their gazes dropping to the floor so fast it might have been choreographed. One of them reached for his earpiece. Arielle's heart hammered, but she kept her chin high. She'd been invisible in this house for 8 months. 8 months of being the African wife nobody talked to, the contract bride who was ornamental at best. Tonight that ended. The massive front door opened. Jun Suk stepped inside, removing his leather gloves with methodical precision. He handed them to his right-hand man, Kim, without looking. His dark eyes swept the foyer in routine assessment, checking for threats the way other men checked the weather. Then he saw her. Everything stopped. The temperature in the room plummeted. Jun Suk's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. His hands, always controlled, curled into fists at his sides. He took 1 step forward, then another. The click of his Italian shoes against marble sounded like gunshots in the sudden silence. "That dress," he said, his voice dangerously soft, "isn't leaving this house." Arielle forced herself to breathe. "I'm attending the charity gala. I've been planning this for weeks." "No." The word came out flat, final. "You're not." Heat flooded her cheeks. Humiliation mixed with rage. She descended the last 3 steps, bringing them face to face. Even in heels, she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "You don't get to decide that." Something flickered across his face. Pain? Fear? It vanished before she could name it. "In this house, I decide everything." He turned to Kim. "Have the car sent back. My wife won't be needing it." "Your wife," Arielle said, her voice shaking with fury, "is standing right here, and she's going to that gala." Jun Suk's gaze locked onto hers. "That dress isn't leaving this house. And neither are you." The words landed like a slap. Around them, servants melted into shadows. Guards found urgent business elsewhere. Even Kim retreated 3 steps. "How dare you?" Arielle whispered. "How dare I?" His composure cracked, just slightly. "Do you have any idea?" He stopped, jaw clenching. "You don't understand what you're asking. Then explain it to me." "No." That single word, so absolute, so infuriating, made something inside her snap. This marriage was supposed to be simple. A business arrangement. You get your perfect political alliance, I get protection and financial security. No emotions. No interference. Those were your rules, Jun Suk. And you agreed to them. I agreed to be your wife on paper. I didn't agree to be your prisoner. His eyes darkened. When he spoke again, his voice carried that edge she'd learned meant danger. Go upstairs. Change. Now. Make me. The challenge hung between them. For a moment, Arielle thought he might actually grab her, might physically force her back up those stairs. Part of her almost wanted him to show some emotion beyond cold control. Instead, he stepped back. You test me, Arielle. You test boundaries you don't understand. Because you won't explain them. You just command and expect obedience like I'm one of your soldiers. If you were one of my soldiers, you'd be dead for this level of insubordination. The words should have frightened her. Maybe they would have 8 months ago. Now she just felt tired. Why? The question came out softer, almost broken. Why do you care what I wear? You barely look at me most days. You eat breakfast in your study, lunch at the office, dinner in meetings. The only time I see you is when you're checking that I'm still here, still breathing, still playing my part. So why, Jun Suk? Why does this matter? Something passed through his expression. Something raw and unguarded. His lips parted as if to answer. Then Kim's phone buzzed. The moment shattered. Boss, Kim said quietly. The meeting's in 20 minutes. Joon-seok's mask slammed back into place. When he looked at Arielle again, he was stone. We'll discuss this later. Go to your room.
No.
Arielle. I said no. She turned toward the door. His hand shot out, catching her wrist. Not painful, but immovable. Please. That word, please, from a man who commanded armies of criminals, who made politicians sweat and rivals disappear. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it terrified her. Because his voice had shaken. 12 months ago, Arielle had been someone else entirely. She'd been a translator at a mid-level firm in Atlanta, living in a studio apartment with a temperamental radiator and a view of a brick wall. Her days had been predictable: coffee, work, gym, home, sleep, repeat. Her biggest stress had been making rent and dodging her mother's phone calls about finding a nice man to settle down with. Then her sister got sick. Stage 4. Aggressive. Expensive. Insurance covered barely half. The bills stacked up like a death sentence written in numbers. Arielle had emptied her savings, maxed her credit cards, begged for loans she'd never qualify for. Nothing was enough. She'd been sitting in the hospital cafeteria, staring at a cup of coffee she couldn't afford, when the woman in the expensive suit sat down across from her. Arielle Thompson? Arielle had looked up, confused. Do I know you?
No.
But I know you. You're smart, multilingual, discreet, and desperate. The woman had slid a business card across the table. My employer is looking for a wife. A real marriage, but a strategic one. You'd be financially secure. Your sister would have the best medical care available. In exchange, you'd be Mrs. Park Jun-seok. I don't understand. You don't need to. You just need to decide if you want your sister to live. It shouldn't have been that simple. But desperation made terrible things seem reasonable. 3 weeks later, Arielle had signed papers she barely read, married a man she'd met twice, and moved into a mansion that felt like a museum. The wedding had been small, clinical, like a business merger, because that's what it was. Joon-seok had laid out the rules on their wedding night. They'd stood in separate corners of his massive bedroom, neither willing to get closer. This is a marriage of convenience, he'd said. You'll have your own wing of the house, your own staff, your own accounts. You'll attend events when required, speak to no one about my business, and maintain appearances. In exchange, your sister receives care for life, and you receive a monthly allowance. What about? Arielle had gestured vaguely at the bed. Won't be necessary. I need a wife, not a lover. The words had stung more than they should have. So I'm just decoration. Your protection, he'd said, so quietly she almost missed it. Then louder. There will be no infidelity on either side. No questions about my work. No attempts to involve yourself in my life beyond what's required. Is that clear? Crystal. Good. He'd grabbed a pillow and blanket. I'll sleep in the study. You can have the room. He'd left without another word. For 8 months they'd existed in parallel. He'd kept his word about her sister, the best doctors, experimental treatments, a private room. The bills disappeared. Meanwhile, Arielle had floated through the mansion like a ghost, learning to read his moods through the tension in his shoulders, the clip of his words, the number of guards that followed him. She'd learned he was dangerous, obviously, the kind of man whose name made people nervous, the kind of man who could end problems with a single phone call. She'd learned he was meticulous, everything precisely controlled, from his schedule to the temperature of his coffee. She'd learned he was lonely, though he'd never admit it. Sometimes, late at night, she'd hear him in the library, pages turning in the silence. Once, she'd found him standing at the window, staring at nothing, looking almost human. But mostly, she'd learned that in this marriage, she was invisible. Until today, until this dress. Arielle stood in her room, staring at her reflection. The dress looked even better in private lighting. Emerald green against her dark skin, sophisticated but daring. The back dipped low, the neckline skimmed tastefully. It wasn't scandalous, it was powerful. This charity gala mattered. It was the biggest social event of the season, All of Seoul's elite gathering to write checks and see who'd gained or lost influence. Arielle had been invited specifically, not as Joon-seok's wife, but as a representative for international cultural exchange. For the first time since this marriage began, someone wanted her. Not his wife. Her. She'd planned everything. The dress, the hair, the speech she'd prepared about cross-cultural understanding. She'd practiced her smile in the mirror, imagined conversations where people asked her questions, looked at her face, remembered her name. One night to feel visible. One night to exist outside these walls. And Jun Suk had destroyed it with 4 words. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Gomein. One of the maids, young, nervous, slipped inside. Mrs. Park, I brought tea. And, I wanted to say, the dress is beautiful. You look beautiful. Arielle's throat tightened. Thank you. Will you still go? To the gala? I don't know. She sank onto the bed. Tell me something. Does he do this often? Control what people wear, where they go. The maid's eyes widened. Oh, I couldn't. Please. I'm not asking you to betray him. I just need to understand. The girl hesitated, then sat down carefully. Mr. Park is protective. Very protective. Especially of you. Protective? He barely speaks to me. But he watches. Every day he asks about you. What you ate, where you went, if you seemed happy. The guards report to him directly. He reviews the security footage personally. Arielle's skin prickled. That's not protection. That's surveillance. Maybe. The maid looked torn. But I've worked here 3 years. I've never seen him like this. So careful. So afraid. Afraid? Of what? I don't know. But after you moved in, everything changed. More guards. More rules. He renovated the entire security system. And sometimes, late at night, I see him outside your door. Just standing there. Like he's making sure you're real. The information settled uncomfortably in Arielle's chest. He's never mentioned any of this. He wouldn't. Mr. Park doesn't explain. He commands. The maid stood. I should go. But Mrs. Park? Whatever you decide about tonight, be careful. The dress is lovely, but it makes you very noticeable. And sometimes, in this world, being noticed is dangerous. After she left, Arielle sat in silence. She thought about 8 months of distance. 8 months of cold politeness and separate wings and a husband who'd never once touched her without asking. 8 months of feeling like a beautiful object on a shelf, protected but purposeless. But protected from what? Jun Suk's study smelled like leather and expensive whiskey. He stood at the window, watching the sun set over Seoul, his reflection ghost-like in the glass. Behind him, Kim waited patiently, a skill perfected over 12 years of service. She's not going to let this go, Kim said finally. I know. You could explain. No. Boss. If I explain, I give her fear. If I give her fear, I give them power. Jun Suk's jaw clenched. I won't do that to her. Kim moved closer, his voice careful. The intelligence came in this afternoon. Lee's syndicate has been watching her for weeks. They have her schedule, her routines, her favorite places. The gala is the perfect opportunity. Public, crowded, easy to extract someone in the chaos. I'm aware. That dress makes her unforgettable. Every man in that room would remember her. Every camera would catch her. If they want to send you a message. I said I'm aware. Jun Suk's fist hit the window frame. Do you think I haven't imagined every scenario? Every way they could take her? Every way I could lose? He stopped, breathing hard. Kim had seen his boss in countless situations. Under fire, during negotiations, eliminating threats. He'd never seen him like this. Unraveling. Why not just tell her the truth? Kim asked quietly. Because the truth is that loving her has made me weak. And weakness kills everyone around me. The confession hung in the air. Boss, with respect. That's not what happened with. Don't. Jun Suk's voice dropped to something lethal. Don't say her name. Kim fell silent. They both knew who he meant. The ghost that had haunted Jun Suk for 5 years. the reason he'd built these walls so carefully.
Ivo.
His fiancée, the woman who'd been murdered because someone wanted to hurt him, wanted to prove he couldn't protect what he loved. They'd sent her back in pieces. After that, Jun Suk had become untouchable.
No relationships, no vulnerabilities, no viacnes.
He'd executed everyone involved, dismantled their organizations, erased them so thoroughly they became warnings whispered in dark rooms. Then his father's political ambitions had demanded a wife, someone respectable, someone who could smooth over international relations, someone who wouldn't ask questions. Enter Arielle. Desperate, beautiful, perfect. The plan had been simple. A marriage on paper. Keep her at arm's length. Never care enough for her to become a target. Except somewhere between the carefully maintained distance and the separate bedrooms and the reports about her daily life, Jun Suk had made a fatal mistake. He'd started listening for her laugh. He'd started memorizing her routines. He'd started standing outside her door at 2 a.m. just to hear her breathe and know she was safe. He'd fallen in love with his contract wife. And now Lee's syndicate, rivals who'd been waiting for weakness, had found it. They'd been watching Arielle, learning her patterns, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That dress, that gala, that need to be visible, it was a gift-wrapped opportunity for his enemies. I can't lose her, Jun Suk said. So quietly Kim almost missed it. I didn't just marry her, Kim. I fell for her. And that means she'll be used against me unless I can make them believe she's nothing. Just a political arrangement. As long as she's invisible, she's safe. And if she refuses to stay invisible? Jun Suk's reflection in the window looked haunted. Then I protect her anyway, even if she hates me for it. At 7 p.m., Arielle made her decision. She couldn't live like this. A ghost in her own life, controlled by rules she didn't understand. Married to a man who treated her like porcelain that might shatter if he got too close. She'd spent 8 months being good, being quiet, being invisible. Tonight, that ended. She waited until the shift change, guards rotating, attention split. The mansion had 17 exits. She'd counted. Most were locked, monitored, impossible. But the garden door near the kitchen was always open during dinner service. Staff moved in and out constantly. If she timed it right, wore a coat over the dress, kept her head down, at 7:43 p.m., Arielle slipped out. The night air hit her like freedom. She'd called a taxi to wait 3 blocks away. Far enough that the guards wouldn't notice, close enough that she could make it quickly. Her heart hammered as she walked. Any second, someone would see her. Any second, Jun Suk would appear, all cold fury and quiet commands. But the street stayed empty. She reached the taxi, climbed in, gave the address. As Seoul's lights blurred past the window, Arielle felt something unfamiliar. Power. Choice. Control over her own life. She didn't notice the black SUV that pulled out 3 cars behind them. The Gala sparkled like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers dripped light over Seoul's elite. Designer gowns swished across marble floors. Champagne flowed, cameras flashed, and somewhere a string quartet played Vivaldi. Arielle stepped inside and felt every eye turn. The dress did exactly what she'd hoped. Announced her presence, demanded attention, made her impossible to ignore. Men's gazes lingered. Women assessed with calculating interest. Within minutes, she'd been approached by a tech CEO, a politician's wife, and a journalist who wanted quotes about international marriage. Mrs. Park, the journalist said, her recorder already running. You've been quite mysterious since your wedding. What brings you out tonight? Arielle smiled, the one she'd practiced. I believe in supporting causes that bridge cultures. Education, understanding. These things matter. And your husband? Mr. Park isn't known for attending public events. He's a very private man, but he supports my involvement in the community. The lie tasted bitter, but she kept smiling. For an hour, Arielle lived the fantasy. People asked her questions. They remembered her name. She gave her speech about cultural exchange to genuine applause. Someone took her photo for the society pages. She felt real. Then she noticed the men. 3 of them scattered through the crowd. Not mingling, not drinking, watching. When she moved, they moved. When she stopped, they stopped. Her mouth went dry. One of them caught her eye and smiled. It wasn't friendly. Arielle grabbed her phone, hands shaking. She should call. Who? Jun Suk? After she'd explicitly defied him? The guards she'd snuck past? A waiter appeared at her elbow. Champagne, Mrs. Park? I didn't order. Compliments of an admirer. He pressed the glass into her hand, his grip just slightly too tight. Arielle looked at the champagne, then at the waiter. His smile was wrong, too fixed, too knowing. I need to find the restroom, she said, setting the glass down untouched. She headed for the exit, walking quickly but not running. Don't panic. Don't show fear. Just get outside, get to a taxi, get somewhere safe. The three men converged on her path. Arielle turned sharply, heading for a different door. Her heel caught on marble. She stumbled, caught herself, kept moving. Behind her, footsteps quickened. She burst through the side entrance into the night. The valet area was crowded, good. Witnesses, safety in numbers. Except the men were still coming. She opened her mouth to scream. Then everything exploded. Gunfire cracked through the night. People screamed, diving for cover. The valet stand shattered. Glass rained down from somewhere. Through the chaos, Arielle saw him. Joon-seok moved like violence given form. Precise, brutal, unstoppable. He had a gun in one hand, blood on his knuckles and murder in his eyes. Behind him, Kim and 6 other guards spread out in formation. One of the men who'd been following her pulled a weapon. Jun-seok shot him before he could aim. Center mass, no hesitation. The man dropped. The other 2 tried to run. They didn't make it far. Arielle stood frozen, her back against a column, watching her husband become someone else entirely. This wasn't the cold, controlled man from the mansion. This was a predator, lethal and efficient, eliminating threats with the same precision other men used to file paperwork. He killed 2 more men before reaching her. Are you hurt? His hands ran over her arms, her shoulders, checking for injuries. His eyes were wild, terrified in a way she'd never seen. I know I'm not. Did they touch you? Did anyone touch you? Jun-seok. He pulled her against him, his body shaking. Around them, guards secured the perimeter. Kim was shouting orders. Sirens wailed in the distance. You could have died, Jun-seok said into her hair. Do you understand? They were going to take you, Arielle. They were going to take you and send you back to me in pieces. The words hit her like physical blows. What are you talking about? He pulled back, cupping her face. His hands left blood on her cheeks. Not hers, she realized distantly. Someone else's. The dress, he said hoarsely. That fucking dress. They've been watching you for weeks. Waiting for an opportunity. Every camera here caught you. Every man here saw you. You made yourself unforgettable. And that's exactly what they needed. Understanding crashed over her. You knew. You knew they were planning something. Yes. And you didn't tell me. How could I? His voice broke. How could I explain that loving you has made you a target? That every day I'm terrified someone will figure out you're not just a convenient wife. You're everything? I can't protect you if they know that, Arielle. I can't keep you safe if they realize you're my weakness. The confession hung between them, impossible to take back. Boss, Kim interrupted. We need to move. Now. Jun-seok nodded, already shifting back into commander mode. He shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around Arielle's shoulders, covering the dress. Don't let anyone see her face. Use the back route. Take her to the safe house. What about you? I'll handle cleanup. Go. Kim grabbed Arielle's arm, but she resisted. Wait. Please, Jun-seok said, and that word again. Please. From a man covered in blood. Please, Arielle. Let me know you're safe. Let me have that much. She let Kim pull her away. As they disappeared into the night, Arielle looked back once. Jun-seok stood in the wreckage, surrounded by bodies and broken glass, looking more alone than she'd ever seen him. And she finally understood. Her husband wasn't controlling her. He was drowning. The safe house was small, sterile, anonymous. Kim had stayed silent during the drive, checking mirrors constantly, taking random turns. They'd switched cars twice. By the time they arrived, Arielle felt hollowed out, running on adrenaline fumes. "Wait here," Kim said, checking each room methodically. "Don't go near windows. Don't call anyone. Boss will be here soon." "Is he hurt?" "He's handled worse." "That's not what I asked." Kim paused, something softening in his expression. "He'll be fine. He always is. It's everyone else who suffers." After he left, Arielle sat in the sterile living room, still wearing the emerald dress under Joon-seok's blood-stained jacket. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She kept seeing it, the gunfire, the bodies, Joon-seok moving through violence like it was choreography. The complete absence of hesitation when he'd pulled that trigger. He'd killed people tonight. Multiple people. For her. Because of a dress. No. Because someone had threatened her. Because he'd known about the threat and carried that knowledge alone rather than burden her with fear. Because he loved her. The door opened 3 hours later. Joon-seok stepped inside, and Arielle's breath caught. He'd showered somewhere, changed clothes. The blood was gone, but he looked worse somehow. Gray-faced, exhausted, defeated. "Hi," he said quietly. They stared at each other across the room, an impossible distance of maybe 8 feet that felt like miles. "I should have told you," he said finally. "About the threats. About Lee's syndicate. About why that dress terrified me. Yes, you should have. But I couldn't. Because telling you would mean admitting that you matter. And if you matter to me, you're leverage. You become the thing they use to destroy me." He moved closer, each step careful. "Do you know what they did to the last woman I loved?" Arielle shook her head. "They took her piece by piece. Sent her back to me in boxes over 2 weeks. By the end, I was begging them to just let her die." His voice remained steady, but his eyes were haunted. "I found everyone responsible. I erased their families, their organizations, their names from history. And I promised myself I'd never care about anyone again. But you married me. I married you because it was strategic. Safe. A business arrangement with a desperate woman who'd never ask questions." He laughed bitterly. "Except you weren't safe. You were funny and stubborn and too smart for your own good. You hummed while you read. You left coffee cups everywhere. You reorganized my library by color because it looked happier. And somewhere between the separate bedrooms and the careful distance, I fell in love with you." Arielle couldn't breathe. "I don't know how to love safely," Jun-seok continued, stopping just in front of her. "I only know how to protect. And my protection looks like control because control has kept people alive. But tonight," his composure cracked. "Tonight I almost lost you. And I realized that all my rules, all my distance, all my careful planning, none of it matters if you're dead. You should have trusted me with the truth. I know. I'm not weak, Jun-seok. I can handle fear. What I can't handle is being treated like a child who needs protection from information. I know. And if we're going to make this work, if this marriage is going to be anything real, I need to know everything. The threats, the business, the danger. All of it." He studied her face like he was memorizing it. "What if knowing it destroys you? What if not knowing it destroys us?" The question settled between them. Slowly, carefully, Joon-seok reached out and took her hand. His thumb traced patterns on her palm. A gentle touch from hands that had killed tonight. "Lee's syndicate has been watching you for 6 weeks, he said. They know your schedule, your favorite places, your routines. They've been waiting for the right opportunity to take you because they know they've figured out that you're not just a convenient wife. You're my weakness." The gala was perfect. Public, crowded, easy to extract someone in the chaos. That dress made you unforgettable. Every camera would have caught you. Every man would have remembered you. They could have taken you right from the middle of the crowd. But you stopped them. This time. What about next time? Or the time after that? His grip tightened. "I've made enemies, Arielle. Dangerous ones. And now you're the easiest way to hurt me. So what? I stay locked in that mansion forever?" I become invisible again. I don't know. The admission looked like it cost him. I don't know how to keep you safe and let you be free. I don't know how to love you without making you a target. Arielle stood, still holding his hand, bringing them face to face. Then we figure it out together. You tell me about threats. I tell you my plans. We make decisions as partners instead of you commanding and me resenting. That's not how my world works. Then change your world. Arielle. I'm not Ji-woo. The name fell between them like a stone. I know about her. The staff talk. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But I'm not her. I'm not fragile. I'm not going to break if you tell me the truth. You almost died tonight. But I didn't. Because you were there. Because you're always there. Even when I don't see you. Those guards following me? That security system you installed? The way you stand outside my door at 2 a.m. like you're checking I'm still breathing. She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. I know, Jun Suk. I've known for months that you care more than you're willing to admit. Then why the dress? Why tonight? Because I needed to know if you'd choose control or connection. If you'd tell me the truth or just lock me away. She smiled sadly. I needed to know if this marriage could ever be real. And now I know you're terrified. And I know you don't know how to love without fear. And I know that somehow, impossibly, we've fallen into something that neither of us planned. She leaned her forehead against his. So what do we do about it? Joon-seok's arms came around her, pulling her close. He buried his face in her neck, and she felt his breath shudder. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. I don't know how to be someone's husband. I only know how to be dangerous. Then be dangerous for me. Be dangerous to protect what we're building instead of dangerous to keep me away. What if I fail? Then we fail together. They stood like that, wrapped in each other, while the night deepened outside. For the first time in 8 months, maybe in years for him, neither of them was alone. Finally, Jun Suk pulled back enough to look at her. New rules, he said. Okay. I tell you about threats. Real ones, not every shadow. You tell me your plans so I can adjust security accordingly. We make decisions together about risk. Agreed. You get more freedom, but you accept more protection. Guards when you leave, secure cars, approved locations. As long as you explain why. Always. He hesitated. And maybe we try actually being married. Not the contract version. The real version. Arielle's heart stuttered. Meaning I'd like to take my wife to dinner. Get to know her properly. Maybe eventually stop sleeping in the study. Despite everything, the violence, the fear, the exhaustion, Arielle laughed. Are you asking me on a date? I'm asking if you'd consider letting this marriage be something other than a prison sentence. She kissed him then, soft and careful and full of promise. He responded like a man remembering how to be human, his hands gentle on her face, his lips tentative against hers. When they broke apart, both of them were smiling. One condition, Arielle said. Anything. I get to wear that dress again. When it's safe. When the threat is handled. I want to wear it for you. Jun Suk's expression turned heated. Deal. 3 months later, Arielle descended the stairs in emerald silk. The servants smiled this time, no fear, just appreciation. The guards nodded respectfully. Everything had changed, yet everything was the same. Except this time, Jun Suk waited at the bottom. He wore a suit that probably cost more than a car, his hair styled perfectly, his expression soft in a way that still surprised her. When he saw her, his eyes lit up. You're devastating in that dress, he said. I know. She reached him, accepting his offered hand. Still worried, terrified, but I'm learning to live with it. How's that going? Ask me in 50 years. She laughed, the sound echoing through the foyer. Where are we going? Private restaurant. Top floor. Kim's team has secured every entrance and exit. The chef has been vetted. You'll be perfectly safe. And perfectly invisible? No. He brought her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. Tonight you get to be visible. Because you're right. Hiding you doesn't keep you safe. Teaching them to fear what happens if they touch you does. In the past 3 months, Joon-seok had systematically dismantled Lee's syndicate. The threat had been eliminated so thoroughly that other organizations had taken note. The message was clear. Park Joon-seok's wife was untouchable. The protection remained, guards, security, careful planning. But Arielle had freedom now, and truth, and a husband who still didn't quite know how to love safely but was trying anyway. You know, she said as he helped her into the car. This marriage was supposed to be simple. I remember.
No emotions. No complications.
Just a contract. And she settled against him, feeling his arm come around her shoulders. I'm glad we broke every single rule. Me too. The car pulled away from the mansion, carrying them into Seoul's glittering night. Behind them, guards followed at a discreet distance. Ahead, a private dinner waited. Just the two of them, finally allowing what they'd tried so hard to prevent. Later, much later, they'd return home. Jun-seok wouldn't sleep in the study. Arielle wouldn't drift through empty rooms like a ghost. They'd be partners, complicated and messy and real. But for now, they had this. A dress that almost destroyed them. A love that neither had planned for. And the beginning of something that looked dangerously like forever. That dress, Jun-seok murmured against her hair, was supposed to stay in the house. It did. For 3 months. Worth the wait. Arielle thought about gunfire and blood and terror. She thought about confessions in safe houses and learning to trust again. She thought about a man who'd been so afraid of love that he'd almost destroyed it trying to protect it. Every second, she said. His arms tightened around her. I love you. I should have said it that first night instead of making rules. I should have said it every day since. You can say it now. I love you, Arielle. Desperately. Dangerously. In ways that probably aren't healthy but are entirely true. She turned in his arms, cupping his face. I love you too. Even when you're impossible. Even when you're terrifying. Even when you think controlling everything will somehow keep me safe. I'm working on that. I know. And I'm working on not testing your boundaries quite so dramatically. He laughed. A real laugh, unguarded and warm. Please don't. Life was boring before you. Boring and safe. Boring and lonely, he corrected. I'd rather have complicated and beautiful. The restaurant was everything he'd promised. Exclusive, secure, and intimate. They ate slowly, talking about everything and nothing. She told him about a book she'd been translating. He told her about a business deal that had gone sideways. They argued playfully about whether reorganizing libraries by color was organizational genius or chaos. It was normal. Beautifully, perfectly normal. Except for the guards stationed at every entrance. Except for the way Joon-seok's hand never strayed far from the gun at his ankle. Except for the careful choreography of their exit, the secure car, the route that changed 3 times on the way home. Their normal would always include danger. But it would also include truth, partnership, and a love that had survived their attempts to destroy it. Back at the mansion, Arielle kicked off her heels in the foyer. I'm keeping this dress forever, she announced. I wouldn't expect anything less. Joon-seok loosened his tie, watching her with an expression that made her skin warm. Though I have to admit, I prefer it on our bedroom floor. Confident, aren't we? Hopeful. He closed the distance between them, pulling her close. Is that okay? The hope. She wrapped her arms around his neck. It's more than okay. He kissed her then. Not tentative anymore, but sure and deep and full of promises. She responded with equal intensity, pouring 8 months of loneliness and fear and want into the contact. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. I'm still going to worry, he said. I'm still going to have guards follow you. I'm still going to plan for every threat and check the security footage and stand outside your door at 2 a.m. Our door, she corrected. It's our door now. Our door. He smiled. I'm still going to be overprotective and controlling and probably impossible sometimes. And I'm still going to test boundaries and demand explanations and refuse to be invisible. I know. So we'll fight. Probably. And makeup. Definitely. His hands slid down her back, finding the zipper of the emerald dress. Should we start practicing that part now? Arielle laughed, the sound echoing through the foyer. The same foyer where, 3 months ago, everything had shattered and rebuilt. I thought you'd never ask. He swept her up, carrying her toward the stairs. Guards melted into shadows, giving them privacy. Servants found urgent business elsewhere. As they climbed the staircase, Arielle looked back at the entrance one more time. That dress had almost cost her everything. It had also given her everything: truth, partnership, and a love that refused to be controlled or contained. What are you thinking? Jun Suk asked. That I'm glad I wore it. Even knowing what could have happened? Especially knowing what did happen. We needed that breaking point. We needed to shatter all those careful rules and see what was underneath. And what was underneath? This. She kissed his jaw, his neck, the pulse point that jumped under her lips. Messy and complicated and real. He carried her into their bedroom. Not his bedroom anymore, but theirs. Shared space, shared life, shared future. Later, with the emerald dress pooled on the floor and the city lights painting patterns across their skin, Arielle traced circles on his chest. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For being terrified enough to fight for me. For loving me badly at first but learning how to love me better. For letting me see the man underneath the Mafia boss. Jun Suk caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. Thank you for wearing that dress. For refusing to be invisible. For demanding more from me than I thought I could give. Was it worth it? All the fear and complications. He looked at her. Really looked, the way he hadn't let himself for 8 months. You're lying here in my arms, safe and mine and real. So yes, 1,000 times yes. She settled against him, feeling his heartbeat steady beneath her palm. Outside, guards patrolled. Security systems monitored. The dangerous world Jun Suk navigated daily continued its endless dance. But inside this room, they were just two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way, through a contract that should have kept them apart, a dress that forced them together, and a love that refused to be anything other than overwhelming. I love you, Arielle whispered. I love you, he answered, even when I'm terrible at showing it. Especially then. They fell asleep tangled together, no more separate wings or careful distance or rules designed to keep them apart. Just partnership, messy and imperfect and absolutely real. The dress hung in the closet, emerald silk catching moonlight, a reminder of the night everything changed. Arielle would wear it again, to charity galas and important dinners and every occasion where she wanted to feel powerful. But she'd always remember what it really represented. The moment she refused to be invisible, and the moment her husband learned that love wasn't something to be controlled. It was something to be trusted. If you loved this story of forbidden love, dangerous devotion, and a dress that changed everything, subscribe to our channel for more emotional romance stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment telling us what you thought of Jun Suk and Arielle's journey. Should she have worn the dress? Was he right to be so protective? And hit that like button if you want more stories about powerful men who fall impossibly hard for the women they can't control. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing a mafia boss can do is fall in love. And sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is demand to be seen. The dress wasn't the danger. Losing her was.